My name is Tonya Johnson. I'm a 56-year-old proud African-American veteran of the United States Army, and I thank God for Christian Legal Aid. I moved here and everything was going good, secured community, family-oriented community, and then management changed and it wasn't for the better. Management took me to court literally every month for 2 years. Failure to comply for recertification, this being a tax-credited property, just erroneous things and filings, and they weren't addressing these issues with me personally, they were filing in court. During this battle, my brother was in an accident, and he became paralyzed from the waist down. This, along with going back and forth to the hospital to make sure he was receiving adequate care and in treatment and he was getting everything that he needed and keeping him at peace so he wouldn't feel alone. I myself was feeling alone, overwhelmed. I couldn't keep taking time off from work to fight a battle and still work full time and be able to continue paying my rent. Sitting at work, just praying and just not knowing what else to do, an angel from Christian Legal Aid called. I took the call and excused myself from the office and literally broke down in tears in the ladies' room because I was so grateful that they called me back and said they were able to help.
I first met Ms. Johnson at one of our Friday legal clinics when she came in clearly frustrated about a hearing that was scheduled for the following week. She had provided numerous documents for us to review that day. And my initial take on it was that maybe there was some sort of miscommunication, but it became very clear at the status hearing during discussions that this was going to be a little bit more of a challenging case than I first anticipated.
At the time, she was facing 2 different eviction actions that her landlord had filed, one for non-payment of rent, one for failure to produce recertification documents that she had to do through the housing program she was in, and judgments had been entered against her in both cases, and she was facing eviction in the near future through 2 separate avenues.
We provided the documentation time and time again. They either asked for the documentation again or asked for additional documentation. Through numerous emails, calls, and several hearings, we just seemed to come up against a brick wall. Finally, I decided that it probably was best to get the local Department of Housing agency involved.
Over the course of the next few months, I think she had a total of 8 or 9 additional hearings, and the landlord, who was represented by not one but 4 different attorneys from the same 200 to 300 attorney firm, they would just keep refiling these writs of restitution to get the eviction proceeding going again.
As a result of constant court appearances, I lost my full-time employment and my health insurance coverage, which was devastating. I felt defeated. I was tired. I stayed at the altar. I was like, God, please tell me, what can I do? I have fought for this country. I've done everything right. I pay my bills on time.
Ultimately, Ms. Johnson was successful and was awarded the funds from the Rental Aid Assistance Organization, which helped to compensate her for the time involved in the hearings, numerous hearings, and a loss of her job.
So it took us about 2.5 months and several court appearances to get the first case dismissed, and then we could turn our undivided attention to the second case. And I think it was on August 26th that we were able to get that one dismissed too, close to 8 months after the first one was filed.
So what we do here at Christian Legal Aid is we do meet legal needs, but we do it with the love of Christ. And so we're dealing with image bearers, those who the Lord cares about and He's allowed us to serve. So with Tonya Johnson, we were able to get a good legal result from her. but it was also very encouraging to come alongside and to partner with her in faith, because it was a long battle for her, and to see her do it and trust the Lord, and we were able to pray for her and encourage her. That's even as important as getting a good legal result. But then we look at our other client, Courtney, who again was doing what she was supposed to do. She was making a deposit for her job. She had an encounter at the metro station with the police officer. It resulted in her arrest. It ended up going to court, and praise God that the judge was able to see the truth and just threw it out, but the injustice still continued to follow her.
It used to be that when you Googled Courtney DeLagrantis, you would get all of the design competitions I'd entered, you would get all of the community service work I'd done, you would get my siblings and their music careers, things like that. But one day I looked and there was this website and it said Courtney DeLagrantis has a criminal record, and because of her criminal record, we're rating her 2.5 out of 5 as a person.
Courtney came to us at one of our clinics, I think very late in 2018, with this criminal misdemeanor charge from a few years back. Despite having her case dismissed and having been found not guilty, the arrest and the charge were still on her record.
I always felt like this weight, like it was affecting my career path. I was trying to get my record expunged, and I was Googling something like that about legal services, and Christian Legal Aid came up, and so I went ahead and called.
We needed to file a petition for expungement with the Arlington Circuit Court, appear on her behalf on 2 occasions. There was a prosecutor involved who was representing the government.
Christian Legal Aid helped me with the paperwork. They helped me with the fees. They actually paid the fees for me. They helped me with the fingerprinting process, the everything.
Within about 3 months after we filed the petition, we were able to appear before a judge who asked us a couple short questions and who granted the petition for expungement. Nonetheless, we noticed that a couple months after the fact, this one website still was notating Courtney's record. And so we reached out to them directly within 3 or 4 minutes of hearing who I was, what I did, and what the result of the court proceeding was. Said, "Hey, we are sorry. We're gonna take care of this for you, Mr. Rose, and for your client."
Working with Mr. Rose and Christian Legal Aid allowed me to have a support system through this process with someone that I could trust, not just because they're trustworthy, but also because they know what they're doing. Before I completed the expungement process, I was only getting part-time jobs or only getting jobs through a temp agency. And now I have a full-time job at a traffic engineering firm.
Now that the case is finally closed, I'm preparing to move on. I have not returned to full-time employment, but I do have some employment, which I enjoy. And thanks to Christian Legal Aid, I'm going back to school and I'm going to law school. It has always been my desire and my dream to be a lawyer, to help people better understand and navigate the legal system, just as Christian Legal Aid has done.
You know, the Bible says my people perish for a lack of knowledge, and I just really didn't know.
There's so much more that can be done. There's so many parties who are unrepresented, who need our services, and who would welcome our prayer, would welcome our spiritual encouragement, would welcome hearing about Jesus.
Oftentimes during the consultations, the clients will express their gratefulness to God for the help and the provision that He's given and provided through Christian Legal Aid DC. There were times when clients would cry because in that moment, when they needed Christ most, they saw Him. And they saw Him in the help, the hands, the legal expertise, and the staff and the volunteers of Christian Legal Aid DC.